Hello, everybody. My name is Rosemary Mupambwa, originally from Zimbabwe, but now I'm residing here in Canada. How are you showing up in the world? Each and every one of us has gone through highs and lows in life. We are now shaped by the experiences that we have gone through in life. Are you willing to stay in that pity party mindset because of what you went through in life? Are you willing to stay in that job with a boss that is always breathing behind your shoulder? Are you willing to stay in that relationship that you feel sad and almost want to kill your partner? Are you willing to go on eating junk food and then later complain that, oh my goodness, my waist has just changed twice in 2 months? We have all these mental chatters that go through our minds. What are you telling yourself? Most of the times, it's always the negative stuff. Oh, I can't do this simply because so and so did this to me. Or I can't get on to that job yet because I don't have the qualifications. You look at your life as a victim all the time. Oh yeah, it's because they did this to me. I am sad because they did this to me. You are your worst enemy, ladies. It's only you who can change your life, and it's up to you to change the course of your life. Which way are you looking at life? Are you looking at life as a spectator of your own journey, or you're looking at life from inside out? Start from inside, and then you can go outside. And this is how you are going to change your life. Stop blaming everybody for what happened to you. I was widowed in 2000, July 9th. That's when I received the call that changed the trajectory of my life. I had gone away for my eldest brother's memorial service, and it was about 300 kilometers away from where my husband was admitted in hospital. When I got home around 10 p.m., that's when I got the call that has changed my life forever. My husband passed away on July 9th. And now I've been widowed for 20 years. I went through hell with my in-laws, with friends and family. Everybody was trying to take a piece of what my husband and I had accumulated. My youngest daughter was only 5. She only remembers that her dad was in her life just for a short period of time. But most of what happened before her dad died, she has no recollection because she was so young. My eldest daughter was 12. My son was 9. I was blessed with those 3 children before my husband died. But when you lose a husband, you always expect to get that support from your in-laws, right? You always expect to have his friends, well, your friends, to be around you. That didn't happen for me. The first rejection and the first betrayal came when my brother-in-law decided to go to the registry office and take a death certificate that was registered as divorced. While I, in the meantime, had an original marriage certificate in my house. I only discovered this a week later because in my culture, when you get widowed, the in-laws, well, during that time, would take over the funeral arrangements, everything that needs to happen. So I was busy back in the village where my husband died, still mourning the loss of my husband. While in the meantime, my brother-in-law decided to take it upon himself and take the death certificate. He took that death certificate, registered as divorced, to the insurance companies and wanted to start the process of getting all the insurance benefits. He went to the college because both my husband and I were both lecturers at a local college in the city we lived in. He took that same death certificate, written divorce, to the college that we used to lecture. It was only the registrar that called me and said, Mrs. Mupambwa, can you come to the office as soon as you can? And I said, what's going on? He's like, well, the death certificate that we have been waiting for is here. And I said, oh, okay, finally. And then he said, oh, it's not as rosy as it looks. You better come prepared for bad news. I get into the office and he hands me the death certificate and he said, and when did you guys get divorced? And if you did, where's the divorce certificate? And I'm like, we're not divorced. He's just dead. So I don't know if dying is getting divorced from my husband. So he said, well, if you guys were divorced, then I need to see the divorce certificate. And I didn't have it because I was still married. So in order to fix that, I had to go back to the registry office to get it corrected. But then when I got to the registry office, they told me that they could not correct it without the person that actually took the death certificate. So I had to call my brother-in-law into the office, and he was not very happy with me because he felt like I was challenging his decisions. So when he came to the office, the registrar asked him, Mr. Mupambwa, I see that you are the one that took this death certificate and got it recorded as divorced. Is there any reasons for that? He's like, well, my brother told me that they were divorced. And I'm like, your brother told you. So you decided to believe what your brother told you. And when did he tell you this? Because when my husband died, he couldn't talk mostly. You had to listen very, very, very closely to his mouth because he was just lip syncing. He wasn't talking at all. So I'm like, okay, if he told you that, why didn't you verify it with me? Why didn't you ask? As an older brother, you are supposed to verify stuff before you do this. And so the registrar said, well, are you aware that if somebody is legally married, when they get divorced, they have a divorce certificate? And he was dumbfounded because he never thought about that. That, when you are legally married, you need a divorce certificate. So now the onus was left to me. The registrar said, do you want to get this man arrested? I had to think for a moment because I felt really betrayed. How could he do this to me? How could he? I went outside for almost 10, 15 minutes. And in the meantime, I was bawling my eyes out. I called my dad and said, this is the situation. What do you think I should do? My dad, as the peacemaker he was, he said, you know what? Let it go. Let it go. As long as you are getting that that death certificate corrected, it doesn't matter. It's not going to change the situation that your husband is gone. Just let it go. So I came inside and said, you know what? It's okay. I'm not going to press charges on him. But that was the biggest mistake I made. After that, he took off to the village to the parents. and got everybody together and said, well, you know what? Rosemary just got me arrested by the police because she wants to get all the money, all the pensions funds to herself, and she doesn't want anything to do with you guys. So I'm sitting in Kwekwe, I'm trying to raise the children that my husband left. Remember, my youngest daughter was only 5 years old. And that's when my dilemma started with my in-laws. I was trying to go to the village to put flowers on my husband's grave 2 months after he died. They couldn't let me do it. They barred me from, it was just 100 meters from the house where he was buried. I could see his grave, but I couldn't put flowers on there because the in-laws said, well, since you wanted to take money from our son, why don't you go and take that money and turn it into a grave? And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, you know, I didn't do anything wrong. The only thing I wanted was to have the death certificate corrected. After that, when the pension funds came out, I withdrew about 13,000 and took it to the village to his family. I put the money in an envelope and I gave it to my son. We got to the village, we made a meal and everything looked happy. So I handed the envelope with the money to my son and I said, well, give this to grandma, okay? And when I did that, my mother-in-law said, who told you that you should go to the pension office and claim the money without your elder brother-in-law? I'm like, oh, I didn't know I was supposed to take my brother-in-law with me. I thought as the wife, I am supposed to do that. She was mad. You shouldn't have done that. Everything, you know, with regards to money, you are supposed to take your brother-in-law with you. You are not supposed to do this alone. And I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, I thought I did a good thing, withdrawing all this money and give it to you so that, you know, you could help out in buying groceries, buying fertilizer and everything like that. But that was the crime I created. So from that, I learned that, you know what, the only person who can change my life is me. During those years, I was walking as a victim. I was walking around as a victim, blaming everybody for all the problems that I was facing. I started, you know, having serious high blood pressure. I couldn't concentrate in everything. I couldn't do anything on my own. I had to get help. My dad had to move in with me to help me to raise the children. But after that, my dad passed away. So I was alone. That's when I decided to leave Zimbabwe to come here to Canada to start a new life for myself. And I ditched the poor me mindset. I thought, you know what, this is not putting food on my table. I started a new life. Just last year, that's when I wrote a book and published my first book. It's called Exhume or Heal, a widow's memoir, getting a groove back. That book was like a healing manual to me. I was able to ditch all my poor me mindset, stopped throwing pity parties, and started thriving in my life. I used my pain to turn it into success. Now I'm living a life of purpose, helping other women that have gone through the same predicament to change their lives, and not only to concentrate on what happened to them, to stop concentrating on what happened to them in the past, but to look at life as what is it now that you need to do to change your life. Stop looking at what was and look at what is it that you can do from now moving forward. How are you showing up in the world? Do you want to continue showing up as the victim in your life? Because that is not going to put food on the table for you. That is not going to change your life. You need to look at life from inside going outside. Thank you.